Water. It is colourless, featureless, tasteless. It sustains all life on Earth. Water is vital, but it is also scarce. Although more than 70% of our blue planet's surface is covered in water, less than 1% of this is drinkable by humans. With the global population growing ever larger, demand for this finite resource has now outstripped supply. Pollutants and chemicals further compound the problem by contaminating freshwater sources. Each one of the UN's 17 Sustainable Development Goals depend on clean and safe water. Innovative technologies and better practices must be implemented to ensure access for all. NEOM in the deserts of Saudi Arabia is pioneering the world's first fully renewable and sustainable water network, using at-scale desalination to provide for its nascent population. If successful, it could become a template to follow to help the world's dry regions provide universal access to clean water and sanitation by 2030. Clean, fresh water is essential, and nobody should have to go without.
Hyperdrive now.
This time on Electric Odyssey, Extreme E is in Saudi Arabia, and the cars have arrived in the desert equipped with a new sustainable tyre design for Season 2.
Overall, the grip was really good, even though the conditions really degraded through the weekend.
Season 1 champions Rosberg X Racing have recruited Michaela Arlin-Kotjulinski for 2022, and we talked to her about her journey to the top of elite motorsport.
To be here is the highest point of my career ever. What Extreme E is doing for females in motorsport now is really amazing.
Meanwhile, the racing continues as the teams go head-to-head in the crazy race.
Emma Gilmore trying to come round the outside. Gilmore going to get two with one move. Absolutely brilliant for the New Zealander.
And the final of the Desert X Prix. But first, environmental expert Richard Washington talks us through the climate challenges the region faces and why Extreme E's journey has brought us here. NEOM is a region situated in the northwest of Saudi Arabia that will see a brand new urban development created with the local environment and sustainable living at the forefront of its cutting-edge design. This forward thinking is important, as the Arabian Peninsula, like all of the world's arid environments, is getting hotter and larger due to the alarming rate of desertification.
Climate change is a shift away from average weather and climate towards newer states. And in this instance, it's happening because of increasing greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere, which have moved from values of around 280 or so parts per million in pre-industrial times to 420 parts per million now. So that's a massive increase, and that's come from essentially carbon that was buried at depth in coal and oil and left there out of reach for millions and millions of years. Humans found out that they're a very, very rich, compact energy source, and that's fueled our development for the last century. But it's come at a price, because what we thought was free energy or very cheap energy is stinging us now, because we're modifying the climate by virtue of how much carbon we put back into the atmosphere. The desert regions are a result of the heat engine that works in the tropics and subtropics. Where does global warming fit into that heat engine? Well, we're sticking more heat into the whole system. The upshot of the system expanding is that areas that aren't quite as dry will become drier. So the desert areas expand, by definition they will get drier. There's going to be greater water scarcity, greater water deficits in regions that don't currently experience them. And that's the issue. The environment in the core of deserts is reasonably well adapted to the hardships, but the areas on the edge may not be, and that's where you lose biodiversity. That's where there's water scarcity. That's where cities run out of water. A lot of the water in the deserts is underground and is in the form of what we call groundwater. And the thing is, it's being extracted faster than it's being replaced. So the water table is getting lower, and that water limit is receding below the roots of the trees, and trees are dying. Regreening of the deserts is a necessary step given the damage that's been done to them in very recent times. And of course, extraction for agriculture, extraction for cities is unsustainable. The oceans, on the other hand, contain 97% of the planet's water, but the difficulty is that they're salty and they are therefore poisonous to a lot of life. The climate system is essentially a big distillery. It makes fresh water out of that salty water, and if we can find a way to do that too, we've got, in essence, an infinite supply of water in the oceans. One possibility is to use renewable energy to desalinate that ocean water, to get the salt out of it. And that renewable could come from wind, it could come from solar. NEOM is a project which is hoping to do just that, to provide a supply of sustainable water, using oceans and using renewables to distill that water.
In its inaugural year, Continental provided a race tyre for Extreme E that was capable of running at high speed in the most extreme conditions.
This is a really difficult section. It's about precision and making it work perfectly.
When developing a tyre for Season 2, they wanted to take the next step.
This year Continental is focusing on both performance and sustainability. So the new Season 2 tyre is made of 1/3 of sustainable materials. All this designed by the racing team in Hanover.
Sustainability and performance doesn't go hand in hand, but this is what we tried to change. In the Season 2 tires, we have now this time different tread compound, and this tread compound has some rice husk ash silica.
The advantage of this rice husk ash is that it's typically a waste product, and we can make something which we anyhow need in our tires. In the carcass, you're having a textile layer, and this textile is made out of PET bottles.
Each tire of Extreme E has around 58 plastic bottles.
We are going to improve ourselves again and again, and Extreme E is giving us a great opportunity to test those new materials under extreme conditions.
I feel really proud to be associated with Continental and also with Extreme E to give my share of contribution towards the sustainability.
As Season 2 begins in NEOM, the drivers got their first chance to feel if the new tyres live up to the hype.
Tires are really important in any race car. I think we had a really good grip overall. Here was not easy because we had a lot of stones.
This is the most challenging point of the track that we've seen so far, really rutted. Look at the cars bouncing around.
That's good, come on, focus, stay in the lines, find the grip, come on, keep pushing.
They handled really well, also on the rocky part of the track. I was actually really impressed, so yeah, they did a great job.
Airing it out big time there, Katie Manning's over the crest.
She is absolutely pushing this.
Overall, the grip was really good, even though the conditions really degraded through the weekend, through the big ruts. And yeah, I think everybody's been quite impressed with the new fibres and the new technology that's being employed this year on the tyre.
For James Taylor, the Chief Championship Officer of Extreme E, having a new, sustainable and innovative tyre is great for the racing this year.
Extreme E is a top-level motorsport with the world's top drivers, but at the same time, we also use it as a platform to talk about climate change, sustainability, and also technology improvements. Each element has to work really well, yet the performance side of things, the technology side of things, to allow the drivers and teams to have a tyre that they can use in so many different environments that we race in, that's critical. But then the sustainability side of things is equally important, and Continental, as our founding partner, have done an incredible job at that.
After qualifying in the Desert X-Prix, a mechanical issue for McLaren,
it's not engaging,
and a huge crash for Veloce,
That was a big crash.
Left them at the bottom of the standings along with Abt Cupra and JBXE. However, the crazy race offers one last chance to turn their weekend around as the winners make it to the final.
This is going to be a great clash. It's the Titans.
Off the line, underway on the outside. Bad traction there for Veloce. Didn't quite get away. Kevin Hansen got a great start on the inside line. Gets just in front of Jutta Kleinsmith. Kleinsmith going to try and respond around the outside. It is Gilmore in the car from McLaren. Gilmore drops back into fourth. They come in super close together. Woolridge maybe going to get the whole shot. Bad bounce. Veloce machine runs wide over the grass. Just holds on. McLaren have gone out super wide. Woolridge still on the inside line, but has lost some pace. Kevin Hansen with a bad bounce now gets the car in. Over the bump goes Jutta Kleinsmith. Emma Gilmore trying to come around the outside. Gilmore going to get two with one move. Absolutely brilliant for the New Zealander. Slots into P2 from P4. What a great move by Emma Gilmore, up to second.
JBXE, though, out in front at the moment with Hansen.
No one behind, close. Come on, keep pushing now, keep pushing.
Hansen looked to storm ahead for JBXE, having stolen the lead into the first corner. He benefited from the clean air and left Gilmore and Kleinschmidt fighting behind.
Gilmore coming in out that rutted long left-handed corner now. We saw problems yesterday trying to hold on to the McLaren machine. Oh, there in the background, Kleinschmidt comes in fully lit. Sideways down the hill has she gone. Did she miss the flags? Did she miss the gate in the background? The tyre trace suggests, but I don't think that was branding or gates. Kevin Hansen comes in now.
Hansen handed over the JBXE car to Molly Taylor with a big lead. However, with only one place available for the final, Tanner Faust in the McLaren knew that he had nothing to lose and set about hunting down Molly.
Tanner Faust trying to close down the gap to Molly Taylor in front. He'll know she's used hyperdrive. He goes left. She goes right, looking for an alternate line. How long are they going to dare to stay on the throttle for? Where behind? Alatia hasn't used his hyperdrive. Is he going to try and hold on closely? He does now. Faust wins the inside line.
Oh, there's no way through up that section. It's very skinny in the throat. Oh, he's gone wide. It's gone down the inside line. McLaren gets past him. What a place to overtake. What a drive from McLaren. Their first race weekend, and they have got through to the final.
Nice work, Tanner. Absolutely awesome.
Tanner is over the moon. What a result for them.
I was fourth going into flag point 1, pulled out to the right and got a really nice line through line 2, through flag 2, and ended up in second, following Kevin down the line. I had Tanner talking to me in my ear, and and then just keep it flat.
Good job, just keep it flat right around the outside of these guys. Nice work, you're clear.
Molly and I both had a boost button at the same time, so I hit it expecting to be warp speed, you know, and she went the exact same speed. So luckily was able to get by her up the hill and finish it off, so I'm really stoked.
That win meant McLaren made it through to the final of their very first X-Prix.
Extreme E was a whole new challenge for me, but now I know what I can do. So this year, I'm here to win the championship. I'm Michaela Arlin-Kotolinski, and I'm a driver for Rosberg X Racing.
Swedish racer Michaela Arlin-Kotolinski has racing in her blood. Her grandfather won the Paris-Dakar Rally. Her dad raced in the World Rally Championship. Even her younger brother is a racer. But Michaela's inspiration comes from her mum, a rally driver herself who showed Michaela that in racing, gender doesn't matter.
Always when people ask me who my role model is, it's my mom. It sounds maybe a bit cheesy, but she is.
Despite her family's motorsport background, racing is not something that came naturally to Michaela early on.
When I started, I was really slow actually. So I did go-karting and my parents were super happy when I was just second last. But I've always been very determined when I do something, and somehow I had like this feeling in my body that I knew that this was the place that I was supposed to be on. So I never gave up, I kept on pushing, and then my second year in go-kart, I won my first race. And I think that's when I realized, okay, I'm good at this.
Most of Michaela's driving career has been on track, but when the opportunity to join Extreme E presented itself, she knew it was the right decision.
To be here is the highest point of my career ever. What Extreme E is doing for females in motorsport now is really amazing, to create this platform for us to race with the best drivers in the whole world. It's definitely the highest of my career.
In Season 1, she managed 4 podiums in a row, grabbing the attention of RXR and securing her a drive with the champs.
So when you get the call that there is maybe a possibility to join the championship winning team, you almost don't believe that it's true, but also felt that I was ready for the challenge. Looking at Johan's performances, he is the very best out there. He will push to the very limit that we will be the best team. And I feel ready now to head into season 2 with a clear goal to win the championship.
One of the primary reasons Extreme E visited Saudi Arabia this year was to help kickstart a vital and ambitious plan for the region. The NEOM project aims to create a futuristic urban environment that's built with sustainability and the regeneration of the local environment at the forefront of its plans.
Prehistoric NEOM used to be well wooded and with savannas and grasslands with large mammals. And then NEOM was also green till about 5,000 years ago, when climate change started drying up the planet and the monsoon started retreating from the Arabian Peninsula. But then what happened was the human pressures added to that and the desertification took hold and they were not able to come out of that cycle. And then it slowly started becoming a more arid region.
We are trying to get back to the healthy state where everything was balanced, where we have the animals and we will have the trees and we have the big acacias, and we're trying to achieve that now. NEOM is 25,000 square kilometers and we're trying to achieve 95% of that to conserve and enhance and restore that area.
The scale is amazing because this is the size of Belgium. So our plans is not to tap the underwater reservoirs we have in NEOM, which we call the aquifers, right? But to recharge them over time, so whatever is being depleted will be replenished. Currently, when it rains, all the water washes into the sea because there's nothing to stop them, it's just plain sand. What we want to do is cover the ground with proper green cover so that the water is held back and the aquifers are recharged. Any place on the planet you cover with vegetation, it'll become cooler because there's a lot of vapor exchange between plants and the atmosphere, and it will really create its own microclimate.
I believe in a few decades I would picture NEOM greener, and we have the native trees grow and we would see the big acacias, and it is an ambitious project and we are ready for it and we believe. That's why we're here, that's why we wake up every morning, because we believe we can do this.
Extreme E arrived in NEOM to help facilitate the first steps in this regeneration process.
This is truly what legacy should be about. It's about starting these little shoots of ideas and ambition, vision being brought to life. And I think Extreme E is probably the right partner to start it with. So we have a few activities planned for the drivers. One is to help us start the regreening process by planting a few native species here in this site. And they also they're going to help us reintroduce some of our first wildlife back into nature, the spiny-tailed lizards. And hopefully they will have a good time and we will remember this forever as part of their legacy.
To actually hold a little lizard today, and one of the endangered species in the area, and brought them to a place where they can adapt and then hopefully increase the population in a safe environment here while they're looked after by some amazing scientists.
And focus on the burrow so he can
ease
away.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's just cool to be a part of something that's a bigger picture, right? Coming out here and try to help them establish something out here, and to be the first ones to do it is pretty sick.
Pretty cool to look at that and see this go down in history, and then look back at NEOM and see it built, and then know that, hey, they're actually going to be putting animals here that are going to thrive. So pretty cool to be a part of that for sure.
For me as a Saudi, it's very exciting for me to be part of this very early project. The first step is all it takes.
In the build-up to the final of each Extreme E X-Prix, fans can show their support and vote for their favourite teams and drivers through grid play, with voting taking place via the Extreme E website and social media platforms. The team that collects the most votes win grid play and get first grid position pick for the final, giving them an opportunity to massively influence the start of the race. But there is a twist. The teams that do not reach the final can donate their votes to any other team, excluding the winners of the Crazy Race. With a strong start being key to a good X-Prix result in Extreme E, grid play can make or break a team's chances of success. But which team would emerge as firm fan favourites in NEOM? When the public votes were counted for the Desert X-Prix, Abd Cupra came out top with a huge 40% of the vote between their two drivers. However, they had already been eliminated in the Crazy Race. After the other teams had donated their votes, it all rested on who Abt Cupra would donate their votes to for the final. They chose Chip Ganassi Racing and handed them the first choice of grid position for the final.
Carla Duke, Sarah Price, Chip Ganassi, over you go.
Chip Ganassi opted for the middle lane, which had proved successful in the semi-finals, leaving the other drivers to fill the positions either side. With grid selection complete, the cars lined up at the start, ready to race for the Desert X Prix crown. Grid play winners Chip Ganassi Racing lined up alongside X44, Rosberg X Racing, Acciona Sainz, and Crazy Race winners McLaren.
A first win of the second season of this championship waiting. This is Extreme E. This is what we're waiting for. All eyes on the lights. And off they go. We are in green. Lots of wheel spin. Dust coming up. Is X44 taking an early lead? But look onto the right-hand side. It's Acciona Sainz taking on RXR. They seem three of them to be level, and three into one gate might not work. Acciona Sainz and Carlos Sainz is taking the lead. X44, RXR, and the McLaren team go round, but they're all behind Acciona Sainz. Carlos Sainz has had an amazing start.
The clean start wouldn't last long, however, with dust causing terrible visibility for the cars following in Sainz's wake.
Massive crash!
Tanner, all okay?
Tanner Faust has rolled out contention at the first time they made it into the final. Tanner Faust is out at turn one.
Oh, disaster for McLaren. They were going so fast. Hopefully Tanner's fine. He looked to be.
The race continued with Carlos Sainz leading X44's Sebastian Loeb into the switch zone. Race Control opted to pause the action after lap 1 in order to clear the stricken McLaren car from the course.
This is Race Control. We are going to do the red flag, red flag.
The Desert X Prix would be decided by a one-lap sprint to the finish, with drivers released in staggered order, therefore retaining the gaps built on lap 1.
And there we go. So, Laia Sanz first out for Acciona Sainz. She has to stay out in front.
Christina Gutierrez, Johan Kristoffersson and Carl Leduc headed out of the switch shortly after and set about chasing Sanz down for the race win.
Kristoffersson already pushing in the background, takes a high line. Dust kicks up. Whereabouts is the X44 machine? There it is. The gap was 9.3. Look for Kristoffersson to the lead.
Terrifying, isn't it, for Laia Sanz to know that everybody is circling behind her, but she's got to go out there and almost just do her own thing, knowing she's got clear vision.
Now we get into the heavy sand. From now on, the visibility's good, and you can expect this one to be fire. Sanz leads from Gutierrez, 2.42. How far back is Kristoffersson? Still 6.87, but he's visibly close now. There is X44, and Kristoffersson's right there. RXR are right on the tail of X44.
Kristoffersson on the right. He's behind you now. He's behind you.
RXR closing down. Kristoffersson all over the back.
Up on two wheels for Kristoffersson, straightened out the steering to hold on to the car in those ruts. Now comes back through the other way.
Hyperdrive, hyperdrive.
Tanner Faust made a pass at the end of this straight. Expect everyone to use hyperdrive here. Kristoffersson goes first, up to 400 kilowatts of power, slots out to the right-hand side. Gonna come past X44. He's now got to stay on that throttle pedal as long as he can. Goes to the right of the camel grass. Laia Sanz responds. She goes onto the hyperdrive now. She comes up the hill, up and over the crest. Kristoffersson jumps with the extra speed sideways into the dust. Oh, Kristoffersson's closing right in.
Gap detrás, 1.5 Kristoffersson. Venga, push, Laia, push.
Kristoffersson all over the back of her. Just look at this, coming down the really steep section. You can really lose yourself at the bottom of this. You've got to stay honest, but what are they going to do? Different angles, and it's gone. It is Kristoffersson who's managed to take the lead, but he goes really wide. What can Sanz do to compete back? Look how far Kristoffersson has gone.
Straight into the lead, but Kristoffersson drops it onto that low line. Laia Sanz in super close behind. Don't think she's going to be able to respond to it, though. Kristoffersson comes up to the crest. He's going to jump over this, and it's just the run down the hill. So with a new teammate, Michaela Arling-Kotlinski, but the same car, same results. Johan Kristoffersson, the reigning champion, crosses the line to take the win in round 1.
Yes! Yes! Yes, well done. You did it.
Oh, wow. Wow. Woo! Wow. That was some adrenaline. Oh my God. Wow.
This was, I think, the biggest adrenaline rush I had for a very long time. So Michaela came to me before the run and said, take care in gate 42, which is the second last one, because I nearly rolled there and I went almost flat out through there. So maybe that was the key.
Amazing. I mean, this is the best we could do, and I'm just so proud to be part of this team. And I mean, this man, he's a machine. That was epic.
By winning the Desert X Prix for the second consecutive year, Rosberg X Racing have truly picked up where they left off in their championship-winning campaign. Time will tell how many more wins Johan and Michaela can add to their tally during Season 2. Next time on Electric Odyssey, we learn about resilience in nature with Professor Carlos Duarte. Rosberg X Racing look back at their dramatic Desert X Prix win, and Extreme E founder Alejandro Agag reveals his latest vision for the future of mobility.
Extreme H is the first ever global hydrogen championship.